Hello and welcome, and in this session we discuss VALR section from XAT 2023. So we go with the first question. Read the following sentences carefully, alright, and the question is, from the following, choose the option having all the correct sentences. So we need to pick the option that has only correct sentences. The first sentence is, the exam will begin from 2 p.m. on January 8th. Now if you're using from, it's better to use 2 after that, from 2 to 4. But the word that they've used is begin. So it should be at. The exam will begin at 2 p.m. on January 8th. So any option that contains 1 has to be eliminated. So B is gone and C is gone. Number 2, while entering into the college building, he saw the statue of Mahatma Gandhi. Now you don't use any preposition after enter. You don't enter into a room, you enter the room, that's it. So this will go away, and hence any option that contains 2 is also eliminated. So A is also gone. Now we are left with D and E. Alright, number 3, the government has entered into a discussion with the local bodies for keeping the streets clean. Now out here it is not a physical space, it is starting a discussion. So it's absolutely fine to use enter into a discussion. So 3 is correct. So option that contains 3 should be your answer. 4 does not have, D does not have option 3. So we've got E as the answer. Let's check them all. I will start my world tour from Sri Lanka. Fine. Amitabh Bachchan is married with Jaya Bachchan. It's not married with, it is married to. And I have been working on this project for 3 weeks is okay. So answer is E. 3, 4 and 6 are the correct sentences. Next question. Read the following passage and answer the question that follows. All right. More people signed up for Harvard's online courses in a year, for example, than have attended the university in its 377 years of existence. In the same spirit, there are more unique visits each month to the WebMD network, a collection of health websites, than to all the doctors working in the US. In the legal world, 3 times as many disagreements each year amongst eBay traders are resolved using online dispute resolution than there are lawsuits filed in the entire US court system. On its 6th birthday, the Huffington Post had more unique monthly visitors than the website of the New York Times, which is almost 164 years of age. The British tax authorities use a fraud detection system that holds more data than the British Library, which has copies of every book ever published in the UK. In 2014, the US tax authorities received electronic tax returns from almost 48 million people who had used online tax preparation software rather than a tax professional to help them. The architectural firm Gramazio and Kohler used a group of autonomous flying robots to assemble a structure out of 1,500 bricks. The consulting firm Accenture has 750 hospital nurses on its staff, while Deloitte, founded as an audit practice 170 years ago, now has over 200,000 professionals and its own full-scale corporate university set in a 700,000 square foot campus in Texas. The feel of the passage is that most of the things are moving online, and they are kind of moving in such a way that the traditional structures, they are being left behind in terms of at least the volume. The author of the above paragraph is trying to conclude something by citing different pieces of evidence. What could the author be trying to prove? All right. What old firms can do to survive? It's not giving any ideas to anyone to survive. And plus the word firms. Every name that was discussed here may not be a firm. All right. On the same basis, out here is a problem, and plus there is no mention that they are going out of business or dying. So these 2 are eliminated. See how automation is taking away jobs traditionally done by humans. By the way, if you go towards the end of the paragraph, there are jobs being created. So it is not taking away. That is being discussed. D, how new organizational forms are emerging. Yes, emergence of new forms. How professionals are getting replaced by technology, we don't have any discussion regarding this as well. So answer is D, how new organizational forms are emerging. People are moving online and in a big way. Next question. Read the following passage and answer the question that follows. As a generation, we are rethinking what we are to others. What is the relationship that we have with others? Our technological prowess has become a wireless lifeline for others. Some of us apply ourselves to innovation, hackathons, and other forms of technological creativity. Our families look to us to know how to use technology both to waste time and to make meaning. Most of the time we waste time. Some of us set up FaceTime for those denied face-to-face time. We show them it will be okay, that digital relationships are real relationships, though in fact we are not always sure. Which of the following will be a most meaningful conclusion of the passage? Okay, most meaningful. Okay. A, change is the only constant in life, so people must embrace technology. I don't think you can conclude this, that they must embrace technology. This is eliminated. Technological advancement helps society derive meaning from work. Not always. You also waste time. Eliminated. The pandemic has increased societal dependence on technology. I did not find the word pandemic or anything associated with that. Technology is destroying families and communities. Again, extreme option is destroying. It is also helping us make meaning. E, technology usage has changed social relations for this generation. And that is how the first line started, and that is how it ended, talking about relationships. So answer is E, technology usage has changed social relations for this generation. Next one. Which of the following sentences have the correct usage of punctuation? All right, now this is a punctuation question. Not always found, but yes, in 23 they decided that it will be found. A, Italy is famous, comma, for. I mean, this itself is an error. Okay, Italy is famous for. Preposition, a comma just before preposition is hardly seen. Eliminated. B, Italy is famous for its composers and musicians, France for its chefs and philosophers, and Poland for its mathematicians and logicians. Now, they have put a comma after France and they put a comma after Poland. That simply means that this structure continues. Okay, so we can hold B as of now. Italy is famous for its composers and musicians, France for its, now the difference is they have not put any comma out here, and hence this structure does not continue, which means this part does not have a verb, which means this is incorrect. This is gone. D, Italy is famous for its composers and musicians, full stop. France for its, now you have to have a verb in a sentence. Again, if you put a full stop, this again is a complete sentence. No, it is without a verb, so it is not a sentence. Again, this is incorrect. E, Italy is famous for their composers and musicians, semicolon. France for their chefs and philosophers, semicolon. Poland for their mathematicians and logicians. We have not used the Oxford comma, I mean Oxford comma is right here before and, the comma before and, to make it more sophisticated. Okay, out here again the problem is you put a semicolon and you continue with France for there, again you miss out on verbs, and you also do not have and before Poland. So that is a problem, twin problems actually. So we remove this and we stick with, was it B? Yeah, Italy is famous for its composers and musicians, comma, France for its, yes, continuation of the same thing, for its chefs and philosophers, and Poland for its mathematicians and logicians. So answer is B for Bombay. Next one. When facing various challenges, people in today's digital world heavily rely on private, online information seeking behavior. Individuals who experience depression will often attempt to understand their predicament, their issue, and seek remedy, ilaj, by searching the internet for depression-related information and treatment. A recent report says that there exists evidence of many searches comprising the word depression during and just after the elections in country Y. So it can be concluded that the election is experienced by many people in country Y as a truly psychologically traumatizing event, and as such as being potentially depressionogenic. All right. I always had this problem with pronouncing long words. Anyway, okay. Which of the following statements most seriously weakens the conclusion drawn in the passage? The conclusion drawn was that elections cause depression in country Y. Per day sale of anti-depression drugs is constant across the years in country Y. Now, if the per day sale is constant, okay, if it is constant, that means that there is no spike in people suffering from depression. This can actually weaken. Let's hold it. Many people do not use the internet in country X. The passage talks about country Y. So this is eliminated. Election is a festival in some countries. People happily choose their leader by casting votes. In some countries, we are talking about country Y. Depression-related advertisements are on the rise during and just after the election in country Y. Okay, even if the advertisements are on the rise, does it mean that there are people who are suffering from depression? The number of such people has also increased? There's no way to conclude that. We eliminate this one. E. A survey in country Y shows that an election can cause a significant increase in the average level of depression. If at all, instead of weakening, this is the one that strengthens the argument. So this is gone. Answer is A. Per day sale of anti-depression drugs is constant. There's no spike. All right. So answer is A. Read the following excerpt carefully. All right. In the future, hydrogen may form a significant part of energy systems. Today, it is mostly used in oil refineries and fertilizer, but in the future, hydrogen could power our cars, heat our homes, and fuel industry. A recent McKinsey study suggested that in less than 25 years, hydrogen could account for 18% of global energy consumption and reduce carbon dioxide emissions from current levels by some 6 gigatons. All right. Which of the following sentences will most logically complete the above excerpt? All right. So the flow of the passage is that they talk about how hydrogen is going to be useful in future and what percentage of global energy consumption is it going to handle. All right. Germany unsuccessfully experimented with trains fueled by hydrogen. Two things. The passage does not mention Germany anywhere, and secondly, it is kind of moving towards a positive tone instead of negative one. It is not talking about how unsuccessful things have turned out to be. This is gone. B. Earlier, experts thought that hydrogen fuel would be too expensive. We have not discussed the expense part yet. Hydrogen can be made through reformation, electrolysis, or pyrolysis. Comes labeled in different colors from simple green to more complicated turquoise, can be stored as a gas, cryogenic liquid, converted to ammonia or even borane, and then finally made useful through a fuel cell engine or burner. If at all, this part will go above the paragraph, if not exactly above, then somewhere just after the first line. It's in no way going to end the paragraph. So this is eliminated. D. Despite the potential, 90% of general population knew nothing about hydrogen technology. Again, knew nothing. And we are not talking about if it is known to common people or not. We still hold it. We have not eliminated. Let's read E and then decide. The impact of such a change, in the energy system would be huge, potentially generating 2,500 billion US dollars in revenue globally and creating more than 30 million jobs. I think this is in perfect sync with this part, that 18% of global energy consumption and reduce carbon dioxide emissions from current levels by some 6 gigatons, the impact of such a change. This is the change that we are talking about. So we can eliminate D and we can answer E as our final answer. Next one, read the following paragraph and answer the question that follows. Okay. The fundamental laws that govern the smallest constituents of matter and energy, when applied to the universe over long enough cosmic timescales, can explain everything that will ever emerge. This means that the formation of literally everything in our universe, from atomic nuclei to atoms to simple molecules to complex molecules to life to intelligence to consciousness and beyond, can all be understood as something that emerges directly from the fundamental laws underpinning reality with no additional laws and forces. So everything emerges from fundamental laws. All right. Question is, which of the following can be best inferred from the paragraph above? All right. A. Everything in the universe fundamentally occurs randomly. We have not discussed random occurrence. Eliminated. All phenomena in the universe fundamentally occur spontaneously. Again, we have not discussed spontaneity. Fundamental laws operating in the universe and in an atom are the same. I think this can be inferred because it says this means that the formation of literally everything in our universe, from atomic nuclei to atoms to simple molecules to complex molecules to life to intelligence to consciousness and beyond, can all be understood as something that emerges directly from the fundamental laws. We can hold it. D. All phenomena in the universe are fundamentally dependent on long cosmic timescales. This has been there, but it doesn't mean that all phenomena are fundamentally dependent on long cosmic timescales. Long enough, that was it. Fundamental laws undergo a change from atom to the universe. No, they remain constant. That's it. The answer is C, that is fundamental laws operating in the universe and in an atom are the same. Next. Fill up the blanks with appropriate words, okay? Oil painting did to appearance what capital did to social. It reduced everything to the of objects. Because everything became a commodity. All reality was mechanically by its materiality, all right? I think social justice doesn't make any sense. And everything became expensive also doesn't make any sense. This is eliminated. Set up understanding and became useless. Again, it's not that as if everything became useless because it was becoming a commodity. Relations, equality, exchangeable, measured, okay, let's see, did to social relations. It reduced everything to the equality of objects. Everything became exchangeable, all right, they are equal and hence they can be exchanged, all right. Because everything became a commodity, all reality was mechanically measured by its materiality. I think we can hold this one. Social reality into the randomness and saleable, because again, and then this located just does not fit in. So this is gone. Minuteness of the objects became commercial and evaluated. I think minuteness is something and social construction is something which does not fit in. So answer is C. We read it though. Oil painting did to appearance what capital did to social relations. It reduced everything to the equality of objects. Everything became exchangeable because everything became a commodity. All reality was mechanically measured by its materiality. Perfectly fine. Answer C. Next one. Read the following statements. The leave policy is bound to be unpopular either with the management or among workers. Okay, so you've got management and you've got workers. Now leave policy is going to be popular with only one of them at a time, either with the management or with the workers. Got it. If the leave policy is unpopular with the management, if it is unpopular with the management, it should be modified. In that case, it should be simply modified. We should adopt a new policy if it is unpopular with the workers. If it is unpopular here, then there should be a new policy. All right. Question. If the above statements are true, which one of the following must also be true? We are looking for inference. All right. A. We should attempt to popularize the leave policy among either the management or workers. They say that it is going to be popular with only one of them. Okay. So we should attempt to popularize again the leave policy among either the management or workers. It is not something that is very smart to infer from that. They are already saying that it is popular either with the management or with the workers. B. We should modify the leave policy only if this will not reduce its popularity among workers. We should modify the leave policy only. They have already stated that if it is unpopular with the amendment, you have to modify. There's no talk about reducing its popularity among workers. Go on. We should modify the leave policy if modification will not reduce its popularity with the management. You need to modify the leave policy if it is unpopular with the management. Okay, so reduce its popularity doesn't make any sense. D, if the leave policy is popular among workers, then we should adopt a new policy. If it is unpopular, then you adopt a new policy. All right. Last one, if the leave policy is popular with the management, which means then it is not popular with the workers, then we should adopt a new policy. And if it is not popular with the workers, we should adopt a new policy. So wonderful. Answer is E for elephant. The crux here is that you needed to understand the first sentence. Either or. The policy can be popular with only one at a time. Either the management or the workers. And in both the cases, they have a scenario what to do. If it is popular with the management, unpopular with the management, modify. If it is unpopular with the workers, get a new one. Okay, so answer is E. If the leave policy is popular with the management, then we should adopt a new policy. Good one, yeah. Next, arrange the following into a meaningful sequence. Okay, our knowledge about life developed over the centuries thanks to the many philosophers, physicists, chemists, and biologists who examined such complex matters according to their different points of view. Out of this long history, I wish to quote here only one date, the year 1953. In that year, 2 and 3 are okay. 2 and 3. All right. In that year, Miller, and out of this long history, I suppose developed over the centuries. I think 1, 2. Okay, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. All right. I think we get the answer. In that year, Miller and Urey carried out their famous experiment about the primordial universal soup, whose foundations had already been expounded by the Russian chemist Alexandre Oparin in 1924. From a mixture of, now the experiment, I think the answer is 1, 2, 3 and 4. From a mixture of 5 gases, methane, ammonia, carbon dioxide, hydrogen and water vapor, and an electric discharge as a source of energy, complex molecules were produced, including amino acids. I think it's absolutely okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's not always that you get 1, 2, 3, 4 in an exam. Read the following sentences carefully. From the following, identify the options with incorrect sentences. Okay, now we have to pick the options which are incorrect. All right. First one. The boss accused her employee for stealing information. You don't accuse for, you accuse of. So any option that contains 1 has to be the answer. All right, now it is 1, 2, 1, 5. 2. The boss had better discuss the issue with the employee concerned. Had better talks about a warning, which actually is about the future. So, and with had better, we use the first form of verb. You had better leave, you had better go, you had better stay, you had better sleep, you had better study. So this seems fine. So 2 is correct. If 2 is correct, then 1 and 2 cannot be the answer. The India of 2022 is very different from the India of 1947. Correct. The government is committed to providing people with food. Correct. He is good in playing the piano. He is good at something. Good at playing the piano. So answer verified is 1 and 5. C for cat. Next, read the following passage and answer the 3 questions that follow. Corporations continue to ignore the threat of global warming, probably because global warming is a hyper object, very difficult to touch and feel. So what is a hyper object? It is very difficult to touch and feel. Because hyper objects have much wider time-space boundaries than human beings, we tend to consider hyper objects as given and non-existent. Since we don't live long enough to see them, we consider them to be either given and non-existent. Therefore, it is very difficult to deal with hyper objects as their common understanding is lacking. Some of us continue to believe that global warming is blown out of proportion. Unnecessarily, people are talking about it. It's not such a big deal. It is not serious threat. It is not a serious threat. Even those who understood hyper objects have yet to figure out right responses to them. Most of us do not understand them, and even those who understood have not been able to figure out the response. The lack of understanding and response from corporations to climate change is evident from the fact that most of businesses have remained largely human-centric. Some businesses have adopted green practices voluntarily or involuntarily. These efforts attempt to reduce emissions through better energy efficiency. Though laudable, that is praiseworthy, the efforts have failed to make any significant dent at the global level. The planet continues to get warmer. Moreover, most of the efforts are still in the sphere of business as usual and what is good for us, that is human-centric. Business as usual, the current model of economic production and distribution is deeply flawed, as it is based mainly on the capitalistic ethos of free market, legitimized through private property, competition, and unlimited consumption. The word free has come to mean that there are no constraints on individuals, and the word market has come to mean that buying and selling are the primary mechanisms, and everything is a transaction. Private property gives individuals, nations, a chance to create legal rights to own more and more, subject to very little constraints. It is evident in income inequalities witnessed across the world. The very notion of ownership is control-oriented and human-centric that promotes unlimited extraction from environment. An author does not seem to be happy about too many of these things. Hyper-nationalism and hyper-individualism. The extraction and exploitation of the environment has served our economic interest and led to the growth and survival of businesses. However, it has also led to the destruction of environment. Global warming is the response of nature to human actions driven by businesses operating on the principles of surplus, predictability, control, hyper-rationality, linearity, and quantification. In other words, business as usual has yet to dance to the rhythm of nature. It is not in sync with nature. According to the passage, which of the following will be closest to the idea of hyper object? Hyper objects, we are taking it to be a given and non-existent. Its time-space boundaries are much larger than those of the human beings. Okay. How hard work leads to better grades for students? I think it is within the human space boundary. How a technology company contributed to the development of a mobile phone technology? Again, it is something that is within the boundaries of human beings. See how the earth over centuries takes less time to revolve around the sun. Now this is something over centuries. So it is beyond our space boundaries, time boundaries, whatever they mentioned. देख ही लेते हैं क्या mention किया था. Time space boundaries, yes. So this is over centuries, this is beyond us. So we can hold it. C. We have already eliminated A and B. We are holding C. How temperature fluctuates because of seasons? Well within our space-time boundary. How regular exercise makes our body healthy? Again, we can figure it out in 6 months. Answer C. How the earth over centuries takes less time to revolve around the sun. Based on the passage, which of the following is not an example of human-centric statement? Not an example, a dangerous word, not. We should respect nature for its inherent intelligence. We are talking about nature and its intelligence. Let's hold it here. We should not cut trees as it causes excessive floods, okay, destroying crops and human habitats, human-centric. We should use natural resources for economic growth, human-centric. We should plant trees, okay, as they provide us with oxygen, human-centric. We should preserve nature for our future generations, human-centric. Answer is A. We should respect nature for its inherent intelligence. Which of the following statement is not in consonance, is not in agreement with the author's views as expressed in the passage? Okay, we need to infer. Patents should be respected. He's against private property, too much of ownership. So one, we'll hold one, and one, this is gone and this is gone. All right. 2, trading of shares on the free stock markets should be promoted. Economic growth. That is again a problem. Business as usual. So we have 2. So this remains, and this goes. Okay. 3, building a beautiful resort on a hilltop, exploiting the environment. Okay, taking advantage of it. So 3 also remains. 1, 2 is gone. Answer is 1, 2, and 3. Author will not agree with any one of them. Next one. Read the following passage and answer the 3 questions that follow. All right, we'll try to. Interpretation in our own time, however, is even more complex. For the contemporary zeal for the project of interpretation is often prompted not by piety toward the troublesome text, which may conceal an aggression, but by an open aggressiveness and overt contempt for appearances. The old style of interpretation was insistent but respectful. It erected another meaning on top of the literal one. The modern style of interpretation excavates, and as it excavates, destroys. It digs behind the text to find a subtext which is the true one. The most celebrated and influential modern doctrines, those of Marx and Freud, actually amount to elaborate systems of hermeneutics, aggressive and impious theories of interpretation. All observable phenomena are bracketed in Freud's phrase as manifest content, all observable phenomena. This manifest content must be probed and pushed aside to find the true meaning, the latent content beneath. So this is something that can be observed. This is lying underneath. For Marx, social events like revolutions and wars. For Freud, the events of individual lives like neurotic symptoms and slips of the tongue, as well as texts like a dream or a work of art. All are treated as occasions for interpretation. According to Marx and Freud, these events only seem to be intelligible. They are not, they only seem. Actually, they have no meaning without interpretation. To understand is to interpret, and to interpret is to restate the phenomena, in effect to find an equivalent for it. Thus, interpretation is not, as most people assume, an absolute value. It is not an absolute value, a gesture of mind situated in some timeless realm of capabilities. Interpretation must itself be evaluated within a historical view of human consciousness. In some cultural contexts, interpretation is a liberating act. It is a means of revising, of transvaluing, of escaping the dead past. In other cultural contexts, it is reactionary, impertinent, cowardly, and stifling. Gala ghot raha hai baki ki usme. What does the author mean by thus interpretation is not a gesture of mind situated in some timeless realm of capabilities? If you go to this sentence, it was somewhere, is not an absolute, okay. Thus interpretation is not, as most people assume, an absolute value, a gesture of mind situated in some timeless realm of capabilities. All right. What does the author mean by this? A. Interpretation is act of understanding developed by timeless experts. I don't think we can derive this part from the sentence given. Timeless experts. Eliminated. Interpretation is about erecting another meaning on top of the literal one. This was the old style. It cannot be derived from this sentence. Interpretation is an act of mind which is situated in a changeless domain. No, it is not. Timeless. Interpretation is about revisiting and reinventing meanings. That is what follows after this part. So we can hold this. And interpretation is being evaluative of the meaning created by an authority. Nowhere does it claim to be created by an authority. So this is eliminated. We stick to D. Interpretation is about revisiting and reinventing meanings. Next. According to the passage, which of the following is not an act of interpretation? All right, let's check. investigating class conflict in Charles Dickens' novels. Yeah, we are trying to investigate, which means we are trying to make some analysis, okay? Finding underlying causes of a social evil described in a book. I think something latent, yes. Searching for underlying themes in a historical document, all right. Critical appreciation of a literary text, seems okay. Labeling a text as blasphemous. Blasphemous is going against what something that is considered sacred. So this is simply labeling. All the others are, to some extent, trying to analyze and interpret. Okay, so A gone, B gone, C gone, D gone. Answer E. This is not an act of interpretation. This is more of an opinion. Oh, this is blasphemous. Okay. Next, which of the following best differentiates manifest content from the latent content? Manifest was observable and latent was not exactly seen. It had to be dug up. Manifest content is natural, whereas latent content is cultural. On the basis of that word, we can eliminate this. Manifest content is apparent, whereas latent content is hidden. I think we can hold this one. Manifest content is a superset, whereas latent content is a subset. In fact, the manifest content had to be pushed aside. So it is not about being the superset. Manifest content is loaded, whereas latent content is elusive. It's not elusive, it has to be found. Manifest content is obscure, not clear, whereas latent content is lucid clear. Ulta bol raha hai boss. If at all this is observable, that is not. Eliminated. We go back to B. Manifest content is apparent, whereas latent content is hidden. Okay, read the poem and answer the two questions that follow. I come from CBSE board. I've never spoken poem. It's always poem. All right. The slow person you left behind when finally you mastered the world and scaled the heights you now command. Where is he while you walked around the shaped lawn in your plus force shorts just below the knees, maybe inches below the knees, organizing with an electric clipboard your big push to tomorrow. Oh, I have come across him. Yes, I have, more than once, coaxing his battered grocery cart down the freeway meridian. Others see in you sundry mythic types distinguished not just in themselves, but by the stories we put in with beginnings, ends, surprises. The baby Oedipus on the hillside with his broken feet, or the dog whose barking saves the grandmother flailing in the mill pond beyond the weir, dragged down by her woolen skirt. He doesn't see you as a story though. He feels you as his atmosphere. When your sun shines, he chortles, giggles. When your barometric pressure drops and the thunder heads gather, he huddles under the overpass and writes me long letters with a sturdy little pencil he steals from the public library. He asks me to look out for you. All right. Which of the following best captures the theme of the poem? All right. The poem is examining a loss of trust between old friends. No, in fact, in the end, one entity is asking to look out for the other. And I don't think it is about old friends. The poem is celebrating success and mourning losses. I don't think it is mourning any losses out here. The poem is exploring the lives of the rich and the poor. It's not about the rich and the poor. It is about somebody who has kind of grown up. The poem is analyzing a person's past and present. Let's hold it for the time being. The poem is meaninglessly brooding over the past. It is not meaninglessly brooding. So this is eliminated. We can happily mark D as the answer. Is analyzing a person's past and present. Looking in his plus force, which was like a child. Okay. And then when you grow up, you kind of leave that behind. Which of the following statements best interprets the lines, he doesn't see you as a story, though he feels you as his atmosphere. All right. So atmosphere ka matlab, this is the earth and this is the atmosphere. All right. You are an extension of the past. Extension to ऐसे होता कुछ. ठीक है, तो extension तो नहीं है. Your present subsumes your past. Your present subsumes, encompasses your past. We can hold it. You are not a narrative of the past. You are larger than life. The poem has nothing to do with this. You are haunted by it. No, you're not being haunted by your past. You dukh de raha hai. As far as the poem is concerned, I don't know about the past that you have. Maybe it is haunting you. Answer is B. Your present subsumes your past, encompasses your past. Read the following passage and answer the 3 questions that follow. All right. Socrates believed that akrasia, meaning procrastination, was strictly speaking impossible, since we could not want what is bad for us. If we act against our own interests, it must be because we don't know what's right. We are unaware. Lowenstein, similarly, is inclined to see the procrastinator as led astray by the visceral, the internal rewards of the present. As the 19th century Scottish economist John Ray put it, the prospects of future good, which future years may hold on us, seem at such a moment dull and dubious, and are apt to be slighted, to be ignored. For objects on which the daylight is falling strongly and showing us in all their freshness just within our grasp, we are more concerned with what is it that we are getting in the present than worry about the future. Lowenstein also suggests that our memory for the intensity of visceral rewards is deficient. We don't remember them actually. When we put off preparing for that meeting by telling ourselves that we'll do it tomorrow, we fail to take into account that tomorrow the temptation to put off work will be just as strong. Today we say, okay, we'll do it tomorrow. We don't realize that tomorrow also this feeling of we will do it tomorrow is equally strong. Ignorance might also affect procrastination through what the social science might also. Ignorance might also. Okay. What the social scientist John Elster calls the planning fallacy, a false theory. Elster thinks that people underestimate the time it will take them to complete a given task, partly because they fail to take account of how long it has taken them to complete similar projects in the past, and partly because they rely on smooth scenarios in which accidents or unforeseen problems never occur. So when I sit down and plan, it's like, okay, this is how smooth it should be. You expect it, you want it. Sometimes it doesn't happen. So you underestimate the time that it will take you to complete the task. Question is, according to the passage, in regard to time, which of the following statements gives the best reason for procrastination? Time is taken as linear in the task. No, I don't think this is the best reason for procrastination. Time is not taken into account. They have taken into, it is underestimated if you get that option. Not planned according to a task. Time is underestimated for a particular task. Towards the end of the paragraph, we read this. Time is estimated according to the new task. If that were to be the case, people will do it in time. Answer is D. Time is underestimated for a particular task. We don't take into account the time it will take for us to finish. Which of the following statements can be best inferred from the passage about procrastination? Okay. It is an act against our own interests because of our ignorance. Now, entire passage kept talking about that we are not aware. And in the last para, if you read the last para, it started with ignorance also, might also affect. So the theme is, by and large, ignorance. Let's hold it. It is a success of self-regulation and planning. It is a success of self-regulation planning. It is a tendency of postponing the present work to the future. Well, this is the basic definition of procrastination. Okay. हमारा question क्या है? Best inferred from the passage. It is an irrational delay of task despite potentially negative consequences. But why? Because of our ignorance. The second layer. It is a mistake that happens due to myopic vision and linear thinking. Narrow vision and linear thinking. I don't think you can infer this. They have not discussed these two things in the passage. Not even a hint of it. It is just the underestimation of the time because of our ignorance. So answer is, it is an act against our own interests because of our ignorance. Socrates said that if you know it's not good, you will not do it. So maybe you don't know it. Which of the following is the meaning that comes closest to our memory for the intensity of visceral rewards is deficient, as suggested by Lowenstein. All right. Our brain does not support us in recalling intense memories while procrastinating further. Intense memories, we are not very sure about the memories being good or bad. They are things just intense. So I think we can eliminate this. Our brain partially captures the memory of rewards. Partially captures the memory of rewards we get by procrastination. I mean, we are deficient in that actually. Likha hua hai. Our brain does not capture the intensity of pleasure we get by procrastination. Our brain does not differentiate memories of different rewards we get by procrastinating. And E is, our brain does not support us with memories which can stop us. Yes, we are deficient with this. Which can stop us from procrastinating further. Answer is E for this one. Okay, we have got one more paragraph, I suppose. It is harder and harder to make sense of life. Everything is changing all the time at a faster and faster pace. Our civilization is struggling to keep up with exponential technology and disruptive change. Our age-old institutions, politics, economics, ethics, religion, and laws, even our environment are so fundamentally challenged that we risk collapse. Our stories have gotten so divorced from reality, so divisive, so inflexible, and so inept to adapt to and explain our present, let alone guide us towards a better future, that we often feel like helpless passengers on a Titanic spaceship Earth. We have no clue where we are going. No wonder Aristotle observed that when the storytelling goes bad in a society, the result is decadence, downfall. Reality is so divisive, so inflexible, so inept, bahut sab bura bura. But why is this the case? And perhaps more importantly, how is it that bad storytelling can keep, if not bring, a whole society down? Is that not simply overstating the power of story? Literary theorist Kenneth Burke famously noted, stories are equipment for human living. We need storytelling in order to make certain sense out of life. If that is true, then our equipment for living has gone obsolete. And unless we upgrade it, we are going to go obsolete too. It was this process that Fred Pollock had in mind in 1961 while observing. Any student of the rise and fall of cultures cannot fail to be impressed by the role played in this historical succession by the image of the future. The rise and fall of images precede or accompany the rise and fall of cultures. As long as a society's image is positive and flourishing, the flower of culture is in full bloom. Once the image begins to decay and lose its vitality, however, the culture does not long survive. The story has to be about a positive, bright future. That is why we desperately need a new story. A story that will not only help us make sense of the world today, but also unite us as a species of human beings. A story that will motivate us to stop bickering, quarreling, and resolve our common problems. A story that will inspire us to achieve our common goals and guide us towards a better future for all sentient beings on our planet. We need such type of story. We have to rewrite the human story because the old stories that brought us thus far are no longer useful. They have lost their vision and grandeur. They have become petty and short-sighted. They are stuck in a past that never was, at the expense of a future that can be. They divide us and keep us bickering while our civilization is facing unprecedented diversity and depth of existential challenges. Those stories are not simply our history. They are now our chains. And unless we break them, they will be our death sentence. We need to break away from our past. So it is worth exploring if or how new stories, good stories, can bring us up. The human story that brought us into the 21st century was written and rewritten several times. The latest major update was perhaps during the Industrial Revolution. It is time to rewrite it again. We need a new story, a brave story, an unreasonable story. A story that can inspire, unite, and motivate us to break free from the past and create the best possible future. Now out here, one important thing is when they're using the adjectives, a new story, a brave story, an unreasonable story. This unreasonable is being used in a positive sense. New, brave, unreasonable. All right. Question. According to the passage, which of the following is not associated with bad storytelling? Okay, so all of them can be bad except one. Its inability to create a future image that is positive and flourishing. It is of course bad because it is not able to create a flourishing future. At least the image of a flourishing future. It cannot stop bickering. Yes, bad. Its ability to create a compelling goal for some sections. We are talking about the entire universe. They were written before 21st century. Old ho gaya वैसे भी. It is inclusive. The old ones were, the stories that we have till now, they are divisive. So if it is inclusive, it is not a bad one. Okay? So answer is E. Next. Which of the following options best captures the essence of a good story? All right. India has a glorious past. It had 25% share of global economy before arrival of the British. It's talking only about India. It is not talking in terms of being inclusive. Okay, so we remove this. Laying of railways led to economic and industrial development of India. Again, it's just about our country. Compared to other nations, our nation has played a special role in progress of humanity. We'll make this one as well. Life is full of sorrows and only death can provide a solution. It is in no way positive. All right. Everything and I are a part of the universe. I think this is at least being inclusive. So we can mark E as our answer for this particular question. Okay, read the following statements and which of those statements can be associated with the meaning of unreasonable story. Okay. A story without connections and coherence. Unreasonable was a good one actually. So it cannot be without connection or coherence. Low 1 and 1. A story that talks about recreating the past glory. You need to break away from the past. So 2 and 2. Okay, I think we got the answer in that case. Let's check it. A story may not be factually true. It's okay. A story that is meaningful and compelling for humanity. Fine. So answer is E. 3 and 4 can be taken to be the answers associated with the meaning of unreasonable story. You have reached the end of the document, which means we have solved all the questions from XAT 2023 VALR section. And I hope it helps. Thank you.